Considering YouTube's recent and highly controversial ban on live streaming underground baby battles, Aliexpress versus Best Buy pre-builds may be a good replacement gladiatorial event, especially for those of you that are too cowardly for the live event. Did I adequately explain what this video is about? I'm not sure, but whatever, let's get into it. Today's pre-built roundup is sponsored by some Be Quiet RGB action. Every gamer has drooled. Oh, that doesn't look nearly as much like drool as I was expecting. Moving on. Every gamer has drooled over Be Quiet's RGB fans, the Light Wings, but now they're available in pure white. So like white wings, if you will. Oh, even the hub is white now. So if you're in the market for some super high quality RGB fan action from Be Quiet, check out the Light Wings now in white using the link in the video description. The first gladiatorial event for today's video is price. I tried to get the final price, that's including tax and shipping, as close as possible. For the Aliexpress system, I paid a total of 1,080 Canadian drachmi. Whereas with the Best Buy system, I paid a total of 1,150 Canadian drachmi. Now interestingly, because it's the final price, the Aliexpress system actually has quite a disadvantage here because it had to be shipped from China, whereas the Best Buy system, I just had to go wait in a store for a bit to pick it up. Which means that the base price of the Aliexpress system is quite a bit lower at 830 Canadian drachmi as opposed to 999 Canadian drachmi on sale. So this is technically the more expensive system, I guess, depending on your outlook on life. So 1 point to the Aliexpress system? Battle number 2 is packaging. Now unfortunately for the Aliexpress system, its lack of box tape man effort is definitely going to cost it some points here. But with that, let's have a look at what the Best Buy system has to offer. The Best Buy system is a Republic of Gamers PC, a performance sub-brand that's more dilute than BMW's M division at this point. And as many of you probably know, Asus is kind of in the dog box at the moment, so hopefully the motherboard in this PC doesn't overvolt the CPU till it explodes. Fingers crossed. Now in terms of appearance, who cares? Quite frankly, it's a box. The protective material inside is what's more important to me. Although Asus's disturbing lack of hexagons does show how out of touch they are with modern gaming trends. A sentence that I can't believe I just said. Oh, it is instantly crystal clear that the Asus system wins hands down in terms of protective packaging. You can see we've got lots more of this soft foam. Having said that, the Aliexpress system did also use a similar quality of foam. There was just a lot less of it in the box. And the Aliexpress system also doesn't have one of these nice mesh bags covering it. 1 point for the Best Buy system. In terms of accessories, we get a SATA and power cable. Although I will be giving Asus a point here because they actually gave us the correct plug. Although I will be giving Aliexpress a point for their quick start guide, which doesn't look like a document explaining proper auditing procedure. Oh yeah, that's the undercarriage of a real beast of a system, look at that. Which brings us to battle number 4, I think. Undercarriage impressions, and here the Aliexpress system wins hands down. Despite having a bit of a skew foot, it looks like the undercarriage of a gaming system and not the kind of PC a librarian has to kick to get started every morning. 1.5 points for the Aliexpress system. Oh, it's one of these. I've had a look at one of them before and I wasn't a fan, I'd say. Side by side, shockingly, the Asus system manages to have a more restrictive looking front than the Aliexpress PC, which have these intake slats on the side, whereas the Asus system just has pretend ventilation. Although it does have this perforation on the side panel, which combined with the single tiny exhaust fan means that we are going to get some air moving through here. Hopefully. And unfortunately with the Asus system we do lose out on the RGB pin. In terms of front I/O, there is a lot more going on the Aliexpress system. I mean, the Asus system doesn't even have a dedicated RGB button, which, funnily enough, doesn't actually do anything. But I'd say that, if anything, the extra USB 3 port on the top of the Asus system is a bit more useful. In terms of booty, both the systems offer essentially identical connectivity, so there's no way to differentiate them on that. Although appearance-wise, it's a little less clear-cut. Draw, I guess. The next category is extremely important. Power button quality. I feel like the Best Buy power button is the clear winner. 10 points, skewing the points massively in favor of the Best Buy system. But don't worry, it's not going to be in the lead for very long. But with that, let's open up the Best Buy system to see what it's packing under the hood. Now, I know what you're thinking, but it's not quite as bad as it looks. We get 16 gigs of RAM in dual channel, just like the Aliexpress system. It seems like the OEMs are starting to learn, which is good. The 16 gig 3200 MHz kit we get in the Best Buy system somehow seems even more Kirkland brand than the one we get in the Aliexpress system. The cooler and the motherboard may look like they were dug out of a parts bin for office PCs, which quite frankly could be said for the whole PC, but there isn't a bunch of proprietary crap in here, so it's actually an upgradable system, which is very good. Although the Aliexpress system does look a lot less like an office PC that just fell into some cheap plastic. But what about the specs? Now, aside from one pretty big difference between these two systems, which we'll get to in a second, I think their CPUs are relatively comparable, they have a similar memory configuration, and the same amount of NVMe storage. However, in terms of graphics cards, the Best Buy system gets mildly curb-stomped. It has a GTX 1660 Ti in it, compared to the RTX 2060 Super in the Aliexpress system, so the benchmarks should be pretty interesting. Oh, on that note, let's check out the power supply in the Asus system. I'd say rear cable management is maybe a smidge better on the Best Buy system, but it's because they have no fans in the case that they need to cable manage. But it feels a bit weird to give the Aliexpress system points for Molex fans. The next fisticuffs is down to power supply, and this is a big one. Now, on the surface, it seems like they have very similar units in them. This is also a 500 watt 80 plus bronze rated power supply. But it's by Chicony, which is a reputable manufacturer, whereas the one in the Aliexpress system makes my spidey senses tingle. With the specs out the way, points have appropriately been assigned, but before we look at the performance difference between these two systems, the next category separates the chlamydia from the syphilis. Oh no, the Best Buy system has a Windows install on it that makes you log into your Microsoft account. That right there is at least worth minus 100 points. And after happily linking my Microsoft account to the PC, things only got worse for the Best Buy system. Oh, another devastating blow to the Best Buy system, which has McAfee pre-installed on it. And as the channel rule states, that's worth minus 300 points. A rule is a rule, my hands are tied. Hopefully it can redeem itself in terms of out-of-the-box RAM speeds. You were so close! You're so almost there! Unfortunately, both of the systems fail the is the RAM clocked to the correct speed out-of-the-box test, although the Asus system fails it a little bit less. Round 9 was a bit of a humiliation for Best Buy, but maybe it'll make up for it in the gaming performance. Oh wait. Oh, that is fascinating. We are actually getting better GTA 5 driveway performance with the much less impressively GPU endowed Asus system because the CPU's a better match. The slower GPU in the Best Buy system's just actually doing stuff in GTA 5. Let's see if this carries over to Battlefield 5. Now, on first impressions, it seems to also be the case with Battlefield 5. But when it comes to the standardized benchmarks, the Aliexpress system does crawl ahead a little bit, which is good considering the graphics card difference. But clearly, the 11400F is just built different. In terms of temperatures and noise, the Best Buy system is not only running a bit hotter than the Aliexpress system was, it's also a decent bit noisier. Now it could be that you can hear the noise more clearly because of the ventilation on the side panel as opposed to the solid tempered glass. Either way, the system is quite obnoxious on the desk next to you. Anyway, the next thing I want to do is set the Asus's RAM to its rated speed to see if we can get an even bigger boost in gaming performance before we check out some newer games.
A few moments later.
Wait, where are the RAM options? Am I missing something? What? This kind of thing blows my mind. When a motherboard manufacturer makes a pre-built that has a useless BIOS in it, how does that make any sense to anybody? We just have to live with it now. I don't know, that's another minus like 500 points. The Best Buy system is quickly running out of tests to redeem itself on the totally not sarcastic Dawid points scale, but we've got a couple more benchmarks left. With newer games, the Aliexpress system tightens its grip around the neck of the Best Buy system, especially when it comes to Cyberpunk. But in The Last of Us, the 1660 Ti also really struggles to keep up and feels thick and heavy to play. Resident Evil 4 is a similar story, but the Best Buy system manages to deliver a very playable gaming experience at 1080p here. So when all's said and done, which of the two systems would I buy? Well, I wouldn't buy the Best Buy one, because I feel like if I have access to a Best Buy, I have better options than a crappy Asus pre-built with 3-generation-old hardware in it. And those better options are likely not in the Best Buy. Whereas with the Aliexpress system, it kind of depends on where you live. I think there are regions in the world where there is a reasonable argument for buying this system. And actually, come to think of it, it's not the Scalpocalypse anymore, so you probably should build your own system now, which means neither of them win. Very good. Until the next video, bye-bye.